Hello and welcome to Reframing the Future, the hgkc podcast series, where we talk to business people about their experiences and challenges of building successful businesses. I am Kim Jones, and I am delighted to welcome today Nicola Ray from Modern. She is the founder and MD. It's an award-winning, innovative business-to-business marketing agency, and they specialise in marketing-led business solutions. Our conversation today is to explore the strategies Nicola has adopted to grow Modern and to share some insights about how they're helping their clients to reframe their marketing for a more disrupted future. I'll be drawing on the WISE Pivot framework created by Accenture and documented in their book, Pivot to the Future, as a guide to our conversation today. And some of you will have been part of our book club as well, where we've talked a lot about this. There are great 7 strategies. They're not all relevant to every business, and Nicola's picked out some of the ones that are really relevant to her. Welcome, Nicola.
Hi.
Well, we've known each other for a very long time, since you moved to Bristol when you started your own agency. I too had a marketing agency background, but from way back when, and I'm still as enthusiastic as ever about digital transformation and how the whole movement has endured and where we're going with it. And we worked together in your very early days when you set up your agency. So it would be great for you today to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and where the journey started for you.
Wow. Hi everyone. So about 8 years ago, my husband and I set up a marketing agency, and we decided to focus on B2B and the technology sector. I came from a agency background, London agencies, digital, and just thought we'd rather just have a crack and go a niche like you do in marketing, like we're always told to do, focus. And it's well, we're 8 years on and it's really beginning to pay off, which is great. So as you explained, we're a marketing agency or almost quasi consultancy, and we deliver business-led solutions to technology and innovative businesses globally. So we work with American clients, European clients, and we've had a couple of clients in Asia Pac as well. So our basis is about focusing on value and outcomes and looking to support senior marketers with delivering their ambition in the business. So usually that's working really closely with the business strategy and helping to formulate processes, workflows, technology that supports those businesses to go through that change and transition. Because as we all know, digital transformation is a big thing, and that impacts most parts of a business, including marketing. And some of the questions that we're going to talk about today and some of the topics that we're going to talk about today, I think there's over 1,000 different types of MarTech technologies out there that a marketer can use. So it's navigating through that and also utilizing it in the best context from a B2B marketing requirements, I suppose.
I think, starting with that kind of technology might be a really good start, because that's one of the 7 strategies that Accenture really draw on, which is about this being technology-propelled, about those leading-edge technologies most successful companies are now adopting to assist in their innovation. So how do you incorporate that into your business in actually delivering at Modern?
Well, there's 2 ways really. So technology is just technology. It's what you put into it and how you use it that makes the difference. So anybody can have a piece of technology and utilize it, but actually if it's not configured in the right way, the data integrations aren't right, or the workflows or the people behavior around the technology isn't there, then the technology is not going to be a success. So one of the things that we've been talking about at the moment with some of our clients is that don't buy the technology first, work on the strategy, and then get the right technology solution to work for your strategy. And as I just said, there's like however many marketing technology solutions out there. Marketers tend to get very excited about shiny new and sometimes move too fast to buy technology without thinking about how they're going to utilize it or what they actually need to achieve within their business and what technologies are actually going to serve them to do that. So it's about putting strategy first and then technology. So for our business, what that means is that we've been developing processes, techniques, and working practices that help us understand and bring together the best ways of leveraging technology, both within our own business, but also within our clients' businesses as well. So that might be developing blueprints, it might be selecting particular platforms that work together and stitching them together through APIs and integration to leverage additional value from them, or it might be about getting better qualified within the technologies themselves so that we can serve our clients better. So we're using technology to build out our skill set and our capability, but also using the technology to create innovation and IP within our business. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. So investing in your own sort of technology and
Yeah.
capabilities and looking at how you embed that into a traditional agency structure.
Simple way of explaining that is we have 3 Pardot consultants, and Pardot is a Salesforce technology within our business, and we also have a Salesforce administrator, and we're a Salesforce partner. So we leverage that understanding of the technology to add credibility to our offering and also deliver better services. And as we grow and develop our business, we will use that experience to leverage other platforms that can integrate with Pardot and Salesforce, and perhaps even develop our own tools and technologies that we can use as add-ons, like our own products that we can then sell on, based upon our own capability, and drawing down upon that, coming back to the strategy behind why you're doing something. So often the technology in its own sense does something, but it's not the be all and end all of delivering the strategy. It's about the things that go around it that enable that strategy to actually be delivered, i.e. workflows, processes, people, skills.
And this is a very fast-paced environment, and it is about that ability to propel, to accelerate decisions, to accelerate the impact that the marketing activities have. Are you beginning to see that in your clients? You know, they're seeing the benefit quicker?
Yeah, definitely. So some of the things that we're doing is really understanding the technologies, but also layering on the other things that our clients buy into. So I'll give you an example. So you might have a series of technologies for ad technology, which all work in parallel, but they're not connected. So you might have, let's say, in simple terms, you might have Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and they're all advertising platforms in some way, shape, or form, but they don't talk to each other. They're not integrated, they're not connected. So it means that, for example, when you do remarketing, you can only control remarketing in one of those platforms, not in the other 2 in terms of the same audience. Okay, so that's a really, really simple play. So we've got the different technologies. Then one of our clients, for example, is aligned to Serious Decisions, which is a marketing and sales consultancy, globally renowned. People on this call may not know them, don't worry about that. But if you talk to any B2B technology vendor, they know who Serious Decisions is. It's like Gartner or Deloitte or Accenture within the marketing world. Yeah. So they have their sort of practice methodologies that our clients take on board. And what we're doing is saying, okay, well, you have this marketing practice and technology. So for example, with Serious Decisions, they have their own sort of stage gates from a marketing and sales process. What we're doing is that we are layering over that to the advertising methodologies that we use and combining the 2. So we have on the one hand, we've got those ad technologies, so let's call them Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then we've got Serious Decisions overlaid on the top. So how can we use those ad platforms to deliver against the Serious Decisions model? So that's fairly cutting edge thinking. It's about workflows. It's about connecting those technologies. So we have to actually pull out the data from the database. We have to amalgamate it, change it, shape it, share that data across those 3 platforms. That bit's quite hard to do. The client can't do it themselves. Not many people are doing. It's a first for our business, and it's probably going to be a first within our industry about taking that data, aligning it so that we can enable that Serious Decisions model to be applied at a digital advertising model globally. So that's really exciting. So that's really IP based, it's innovative, it's strategic, and it's building on complex technologies and frameworks from other people. So it's amalgamating things to build our own IP.
That's absolutely brilliant, because that brings me right on to my next point that I want to talk about, which was the complementary data-driven strategy that sits really well with the technology one, in terms of being able to generate, to share, deploy data around these new products and service innovations. And kind of one of the things that I think is very front of mind here is that safe and secure data and being able to move around. That must be a real challenge for you and for some of your clients.
Yes. So yes is what I can say to that. So with anything when it comes to data, and there is a big challenge. So obviously you have security, you've got GDPR, you've got integration as well. We all have to be GDPR compliant. We can do that through the processes that we have that we're all adhered to, which is fine. That's very much workflow process orientated. Security is about where do we put that data? So we're pulling data from our client systems that is identifiable as an individual. So we have to be really, really careful. So often we pull that into their own separate repositories and we access it. But it means that we still have to be really cognizant of that. And obviously we need clearance to be able to do that as well. So not all our clients allow us to do that. And then the third part, and I think this is probably the most difficult part, is actually that integration. So if you're pulling data from different sources, making it sit together is really, really hard. And we see this not just in our own business with the way that we work with our clients and their data, but actually, or even connecting and configuring our own data platforms for our own CRM. It's a challenge. But when you look at how data repositories across most businesses these days are, you've got data in your sales invoicing, you've got data in your CRM, you've got data in your marketing platforms, you've got data on your website, you've got data in multiple different places. And funnily enough, we've got several clients who are doing this in different guises, but they are creating almost like a data layer. And you often hear about this when you get into technology and understanding and leveraging insights from things, but they're creating this data layer that sits above all of those repositories and brings it all together. And in the sense of marketing, that allows you to have a single customer view. In the sense of banking, it enables you to have a much clearer picture of that customer. In the sense of financial payments and not e-commerce, but pay tech, you have that ability to then understand what products sell, who's buying, where they're buying. So that richness and the ability to read that data and then use it however you choose to use it, either internally within your business or through marketing in order to sell more, becomes really powerful too. We help our businesses both understand how to communicate that process, but also we do it for our clients too in a marketing sense, in terms of pulling the data from different repositories and then leveraging it for better performance.
It is all about that, doing it right data, right time, right action.
Absolutely.
And very focused around that. That's a great point to expand on a couple of the other key strategies that Accenture suggests that we focus on. And that is about the kind of being hyper relevant. And that's about knowing how to be and stay relevant and sensing and addressing those customers' changing needs. And some of what you just alluded to there about the data journey. And the other, which I think is very complementary, is about being network powered. And that's all about having your ecosystem of partners, being able to bring the best innovations to your customers. So it would be great to get a bit of your story about how these add value to your business and some of the challenges you see.
I think hyper relevant is really, really important. And I think it comes down to two things. One, I think it's about curiosity. So you've got to be interested in people. If you're interested in people, then you can be hyper relevant because you're designing and creating things around what they need. So I've seen a lot of agencies, and I hear of a lot of agencies who create blueprints and models and then have their own sort of frameworks and stuff. And we start working with a new client and they say, oh, we've been working with this agency and it wasn't quite right because they wouldn't budge from the way that they wouldn't deviate from their framework to suit us. And therefore you have to question, like, okay, well, this client is not happy with that process. Therefore, you have to adapt and change and therefore be hyper relevant. And being hyper relevant means that you have to have that ability. So I think that's just about paying attention to what your customers are saying and delivering services that they need and being able to deliver those responsively right now. So that's not just about taking your time. If you do that, you'll be lost. They'll be on to the next thing, or they'll find a solution for it. But if you can provide that solution by being hyper relevant, understanding their needs and solving for them, then you deliver that hyper relevancy. And the critical point there is about not being rigid and having those agile, fast moving, fast paced responses to deliver.
You need a certain element of confidence, don't you, to kind of abandon of that strict.
Let's rip it up. Let's rip it up. Yeah.
Or, well, why can't we tweak the edge of this, for this person? Being, focused on the customer first, and customer-led innovations are probably more successful than internal ones overall.
Absolutely, because first of all, you're solving something that people will buy, which is really helpful because obviously you have a market there and then. And for us, we have lots of customers that are very, very similar. They're either at a similar maturity level or they're at a similar level of digital maturity, I suppose. And therefore, when we solve for one, we can often solve for another. And it might not be a templated or replicable cookie cutter approach, but the principles of what you're trying to do is the same, but the nuances between how it needs to be integrated and applied within the business change. But because you have that understanding and it's so super relevant and targeted and understood within that market, you're hyper relevant. So that's about deeply understanding your customer and knowing what their needs are and what they're trying to achieve, both from a systems, process, people, but also from a business strategy point of view as well.
And that kind of how you deliver that is partly through that ecosystem as well, as being able to have partners and all of the skill sets that you can't necessarily have under one roof. You find a way of actually how do we actually bring that benefit to clients?
Yeah, so we do bring in some partners. There's some things that we don't have in house. So we don't do data augmentation in house. So if we need to supplement data, we would go to an external party to do that, to match against databases or whatever it might be. Data analysis and insight and things like that we do in house. But other bits that we don't do in house are things like design and copy. But we have regular partners that we work with to deliver that, and that enables us to really focus on what our core points of difference are and core capability, which is that insight and strategic capability of our account teams and the service that we offer. On the side note to that, though, we also pull together and we're working on this at the moment. So we've identified that we need to do this, but we haven't done it yet. So this is something that we're looking at, is having a series of technology partners that we work with that can deliver what our clients need. So for example, and I'll come back to that point, there are 1,000 MarTech vendors out there, and which ones do I use, which ones are going to deliver for what I need, and which ones work together really, really well. So as a marketing director or CMO, if someone can come to me with this platform of vendors that work seamlessly together and can stitch them together for me, I make those platforms talk to one another and deliver against my demand generation targets, then that's a winner. Because the technology solutions providers in the US are brilliant in the US, but they're terrible for a European market because of GDPR, and some of them won't even serve a European market. And then the European vendors are really good from a European perspective, but they're terrible in the US because they focus on Europe. So those they're the challenges we have, because they're global tech firms and they want, they're the two core markets globally for them, but they just don't know how to make that work. And there's a lot of new ad tech in particular saying, oh, it's a real shiny silver bullet, but actually the reality is that it doesn't deliver what they need. So being able to go to a partner like Modern that can say, well, we know these platforms work, we know that they work together, we know how to make them work together, we can stitch them together for you, and we can give you a solution that will meet your needs, it will be a really, really powerful sell for us. So that is very much network powered from a technology perspective. So it's not just network power, but it's also technology-propelled as well, to deliver that IP and innovation that will set us aside.
And it is really interesting, isn't it, how all of these strategies, they're not separate.
Yeah.
It is a complete ecosystem of all of them, and you need to bring them all to bear at different times. And sometimes one's more in front than the other, but they're all fundamental. But I think one of the hardest ones is the one that the Accenture decided, they call it talent rich, which is about the people. And you operate in a really competitive and fast changing market, and you've had loads of challenges around how to do this, but how do you encourage to embrace new ways of working, workforce management, and kind of this lockdown, we've learned kind of a lot about that. It would be good to get your take on talent rich in your marketplace right now, and how you're going to adapt and you're thinking about that for the agency of the future.
That's a really interesting question. Because our clients, they're not, I mean, we're based in Bristol, but our clients aren't based in Bristol. So, I mean, we're on a Zoom call right now. Zoom is normal for us, and it always has been. So there's been no change there. The only difference is the background behind us and the fact that we're all at home. And I think having a hugely supportive culture that we have and being flexible with our team is been really valuable to them. So, for example, some of the team have children. So, and I think we all have, as a nation, as a people around the world, we've had to, acknowledge the fact that people have families and that we're all in the same boat. And that's okay to sometimes have a kid come in and ask you, oh, can you just download this app, please? Or can you just, can I have a biscuit? Whatever it might be. And, you see it even with the most serious people who are really senior and, they're CMOs or whatever, and they've got this little person. So no, So no, I think this is we've been as productive, if not more productive. I think we talk about the way that we work quite regularly and whether people are comfortable with it and how people are coping together and making sure that we're checking in on one another. So it's a very, making sure people are okay, because some of the team are single and they're on their own, and that's obviously challenging at the moment when you can't go out. Moving forward, hopefully as we come out of lockdown, we see this as more of a permanent feature. So at the moment, there's a big question mark over whether we'll go back. And if we do have some kind of office, how big that office really needs to be when we can demonstrate that we're really productive. We don't need a full office. So it's changing the way that we think about the space that we need and how we might use that space when we have it, and how we might interact with one another. I think the biggest thing that we've missed is being in each other's presence. So actually, seeing, touching, hugging, that kind of sort of tactile behavior, and going out for lunch and laughing together.
All the water cooler stuff, the real moments that you have because you've got proximity.
I mean, what is different is, though, that we do have like one-to-one calls with each other where we're discussing things, and maybe 10-15 minutes of that call may be taken up by those types of conversations, but they are they're also private conversations as well. When it's on a Zoom call, no one can overhear you, so sometimes you can get closer to somebody because of that, and they might share things with you because they're not going to be overheard. So both from a personal point of view and from a work point of view, so that's quite good too. On to actually delivering work and what that means for our business from a talent point of view. The way that we make that work, people often ask, do we have a talent problem? How do you find it difficult finding people? How do you recruit? And I'm like, we're just about to go through a recruiting process for some new talent, and but even still, just generally taking lockdown out of the context, for us, I've not really found hiring a problem. There is a lot of really, really good talent out there. I think the most important thing that we do, or that we certainly try to do, and we don't get it right all the time, is we don't hire on skills. So just because somebody's got 5 years of experience in an agency, or just because they can do the types of things that we want them to do, so they might be a product consultant, or they might be they might have been doing SEO for 5 years, and they might be Google certified. Just because they can do that, they can pass an exam, doesn't necessarily mean they've got the right attitude or motivation or competencies. So we look for those capabilities within an individual when we're hiring or when we're interviewing. How do they respond to certain types of questions? Are they motivated? Do they self-learn? Do they enjoy a learning environment? I mean, you said a few minutes ago, Kim, that we are a fast-paced, innovative environment that we work in. You can't sit on your laurels and just go, no, I want to do the same thing every day. Because if you want to do that, then our agency isn't the place for you, because we're going to push, because we're going to make you think. We're going to try and bring things together and do things that haven't done before. So you've got to be comfortable with that. And just because you've got a certain set of skills and can tick a few boxes doesn't necessarily mean you're the right person. So it's very much about making sure that person is going to fit in an environment where they're not afraid to tackle new things. They are about self-improvement, they're self-starters, they're collaborative, and they've got a level of authenticity about them. They're not afraid to show weakness, afraid to be wrong, because, if we do new things all the time, we're going to get a few things wrong, and that's okay.
I mean, and that's kind of the first principle, isn't it, in innovation?
Yeah,
Fail fast, fail fast, yeah.
Yeah.
And have that right from the beginning and up front.
Yeah.
It's part of that almost onboarding process, isn't it? It's okay to fail here, because if you don't, then you haven't learned anything.
Yeah. So it's also, and that is closely tied to culture. So finding the right people that are going to fit within that have the right competencies and motivation and sort of attitude attributes, as well as, is this person going to feel comfortable in our culture, the way that we're going to push and pull them and challenge them. So, I say at interviews, I'm just recalling an interview that we had a couple of days ago, we made it really, really clear that development pathway is of your own making. We don't want you to come and sit in a box. We want you to push. We want you to be innovative. We want you to drive change and not be afraid to put yourself forward or put ideas forward, both with us and with the clients, because that's what we need. We need people to be able to tackle things that the clients aren't able to do themselves. So it's not just a simple, I'll create a brochure. It's okay, how can you change the way that we deliver new business into our organization? Or how, it's tackling those kind of things and not being afraid to do it, or be part of a team that does that. So that's about as much as the culture of the organization and keeping that strong as it is about the individuals. So therefore, talent is about who you see and who you attract as much as, what they can actually do from a skills perspective or a degree perspective.
Well, Nicola, I think that is a brilliant opportunity for us to bring it to a close, is to talking about the strength of people, because it's all about the people. Mm-hmm. It's this curiosity, this flexibility, agility, being customer focused, that kind of like hungry but fun and exciting and challenging place to be. So thank you very much for taking us through the innovation and the cycles of strategies that you're employing at Modern. It sounds like a wonderful place to continue to be and to grow. And we wish you every success. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. You will be able to get hold of our podcast through the hgkc podcast series, and it will also be appearing on Modern's website, and there'll be details of it in the show note. So thank you very much for listening today. Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.